Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. I thought today we would talk about Christmas. When it comes to War Thunder, there are 5 major updates a year. We've had 4, and we're probably going to go into the 5th update season pretty soon. Now, there's been a lot of controversy around the leakosphere and everything like that. Obviously, some people saying they're not going to leak anything, others getting cease and desist. So basically what I thought we would do in this video is talk about the hopes that I have in terms of the next major updates, and also just kind of going into the future. For me personally, when it comes to War Thunder, I don't really think too much about vehicles, because vehicles are always going to happen. There isn't a time in War Thunder's history where they're going to be like, you know what? No more vehicles. We're not going to add any. So for me, if a vehicle exists in real life, there is a huge percentage chance that it's going to be added to War Thunder. So this video will be looking at other parts of the game which I'd like to see some improvements of. And also, I'd like to hear from you what you guys would like to see, whether it is for the Christmas update or whether it's just for the future of War Thunder. What to you is interesting and what to you would you like to see? So let's get into it. As always, if you enjoy this type of content, make sure to subscribe and also like the video. Let's get started. The first one is pretty simple. As a person who plays multiple game modes, so I play naval, I play air, I play ground, I play arcade, I play realistic, I try and play everything. One of the biggest problems that I have is the volume. I know that sounds really weird, right? Because it's like, well, why would volume be a problem? Well, depending on the game mode you're playing, you actually want the volume setup to be different, because therefore it would actually benefit you in that way. Now, in War Thunder, there's no volume defaults, or there's no volume presets that you can set, so you pretty much have to, if every time you change game mode, move around all of your volume sliders to where you want them to be, which, if you're doing this multiple times a day, especially if you're doing like the previous winter events, where you have to do naval and air and ground in the same day, it's incredibly arduous. So what I would like them to do is add some volume presets, so you could quickly switch between the different presets depending on the game mode that you are playing. Presets are incredibly important, and also something that Gaijin has added quite a lot over the last period of time, so why not? Why not chuck them in and have a bit of fun with them? The next one is pretty obvious, just a reduction in overall RP. The game has seen so many additions over the last few years, and so little reductions in RP across the board. The only real reductions is the group together of vehicles, and that only actually reduces the cost of researching the vehicle. It does not reduce the cost of the modifications of that vehicle. So you can get the vehicle, but it's going to take you as long to grind it out as the next one. And this is a problem, because one of the biggest issues with a lot of vehicles is how aggressive their modifications are. Now, I'd also like to see modifications specifically reduced in terms of usability. For example, if you have, let's say, a Heat FS tank, which has access to APF SDS as a modification, maybe if you are a stock configuration, maybe you get access to 3 or 5 rounds of that APF SDS. And then if you unlock the modification, that means that you can bring all of your rounds being the APF SDS. That is something that I would love to see in the game. But if they're not going to do that, which I doubt they are, a reduction in overall RP is really required. If people are going to experience more tech trees, especially since they've already talked about adding more and more nations in the future, there has to be a reduction, or there has to be some kind of mechanism that is generally set up in a way where people can grind out more stuff. I don't like the fact that the average player in War Thunder probably only gets to experience 2 to 5% of the game. It just sucks. And as a person who enjoys the majority of the game, I want people to also enjoy the majority of the game with me and chat about all the stuff that they enjoy and don't feel stuck in areas that they can't get to. Also, vehicle type-based rewards modifiers, which would be quite nice. This would be more of an extreme thing. There's technically a little bit in the game about this, like when it comes to certain awards, like if you're up BR or down BR. But what I'm talking about is if you are in, let's say, air realistic, if you are in a strike aircraft, you get more rewards for destroying ground targets than a fighter would. Or you get more rewards in a bomber destroying bases than a fighter would. This would mean that it would promote actual playstyles in specific vehicles, and also just make it easier on the player to grind them out, instead of people just hopping into premiums and doing whatever they think is the most efficient way of grinding RP. It would mean that fighters would actually be used as fighters, bombers would be used as bombers, and you would still get RP if you did the other things, but it would be a little bit less. But you get the bonus from actually doing the job that you were designed to do. So a fighter would get more for air assists, more for air destructions, but it would get less for bombing bases. Whereas a strike aircraft would get more for destroying ground targets, but less for destroying air targets. And therefore, it would mean that you're not pigeonholed into playing a specific way. It just gives you an incentive to actually play how the vehicle is supposed to play. Because there is a ton of aircraft in the game right now which are completely worthless because they are outdone by other aircraft in pretty much every way in the standard playstyle of what War Thunder is. And as a person who has had to play a lot of these aircraft to get through the ranks instead of just buying premiums and grinding out the top tier, it isn't very enjoyable to be able to play them. The Su-22, for example, the Tornadoes are all in pretty rough spots, and also many other vehicles like that at the higher echelons are not exactly great. The other part would be also if you have ground a vehicle out in a different nation which is the same as another. So let's say the Leopard 2A4, for example, I'd like to see reductions in RP in terms of the other Leopard 2A4s, meaning it's easier to grind them out. So it isn't as annoying playing more and more copy-paste vehicles. I think that would also be a lovely thing too. For the profile as well, I would like to see more improvements. When they added in the new profile, which was, I think, last Christmas, they have done some updates to it. It is nice, the updates that they've done, but there's still a lot of dead space in the profile. It's much more designed for what looks like a mobile screen, which is fair. They might integrate it into their Gaijin Pass or some of their other apps, but in War Thunder itself, it just doesn't look very good because there's just a ton of empty space, and the access to information is still harder to do compared to what you had before. So I would like the access to information to be the same. I do recognize that over this year they've done a lot of improvements to it. It is in a lot better space than it was last Christmas, but I still think it needs a bit more. Also, on top of more decorations, kind of like what they've been doing with the profile, with the backgrounds and the borders and everything, which has been really cool, I'd like to see some hangar decorations, being able to grind out stuff so you can stick it in your hangar, whether it's like avatars of people wandering around, whether it's customizations of, let's say, pilots who walk around the hangar, whether it's banners or flags or even signs that are around the hangar too. It would be really cool to have some little tidbits in the hangar to kind of show the events that you've done, or maybe the squadron stuff that you've taken part in, or all of these different things. I've always liked the idea of having like an armory or a barracks or a mess hall that you go into, and it shows all of your stats, not just of you, but also your squadron over the years. How many kills have you got? How many battles have you won? You know, what is your, most popular mode? All of these different things. And what if you could walk around it with an avatar? Wouldn't that be cool? I think it would be interesting. And having hangar decorations is one of those things which I guess a lot of people probably don't think is as important, because the thing about the hangars in general is the simple fact that you can customize them, right? Like you can bring in user hangars. Like I have a user hangar that I use when it comes to the game. But console players do not get access to that. They can't bring in custom content like that, and therefore I'd like them to implement something for the game which was available for everybody. Then the last one is Convertible RP. I don't know how long a lot of you have been playing in the game, some maybe one day, some maybe 10 years. For me, I've been playing for a long time, and I've put a lot of hours in. I have a lot of Convertible RP. 267,438,660 at this point of recording, which is insane. And if you don't know what Convertible RP is, basically if you use GE to grind out vehicles or modifications, you use that RP as kind of collateral while you spend your GE. It's a mechanism that's designed so you can't just GE yourself through a tech tree, but technically you can, because you could just GE modifications that actually gives you convertible RP, and then you just research the next vehicle, even if you don't have any. But it's designed for you to basically spend a bit more money and also not just blitz through everything. Convertible RP hasn't been changed in a very long time, and therefore I would like to add in other factors, whether it is to grind out vehicles, but for me, what I would like it to do is if you have finished a tech tree, so if you've researched all the vehicles in the tech tree, it would unlock a specific set of vehicles that were not able to access previously. So for example, these would be vehicles that were removed from the game, whether it be the Russian SP2Ms, the Yer-2 MTATs, whether it be the Tiger 2105, the Panther 2, whether it be stuff like the R2Y2s. Then once you've finished researching a tech tree, those vehicles become available for you, and you get to put convertible RP into them to be able to get access to them. And I think that would be really cool, because it's a nice bonus on top of finishing a tech tree and also getting access to those hidden vehicles. And if you didn't know, when it comes to War Thunder, they do actually have similar mechanisms. For example, in the single missions area, which is kind of funny to talk about, they actually have a mission where if you complete the Japanese tech tree, so the air tech tree, you get access to a mission called The Last Aircraft. And this is one where you play as an A6M5, you take off from Mount Suribachi, and you are the last aircraft, and you have to destroy all the American bombers that are on the airfields. It's an incredibly hard mission to complete, but it's also one that I feel like is a little bit of fun. And it shows that they do have these mechanisms where if you complete a research tree, you can get access to something. So this would be something I would like to see. Let me know what you would like to see. And as always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem, Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.